Mystery Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a thriller movie called Head Game. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie opens as we see a man who is experimenting with some chemicals. He also has some cameras and we see a lot of people's photos on the table. The scene then cuts to a girl who looks very panicked and she desperately tries to open a door. However, a man attacks her from behind and kills her. The scene then cuts to some time later where we see a girl named Jackie who excitedly tells her roommate about how she's going on a date with a handsome, rich guy. Shortly after, her date, Chris, shows up, after which the two head out together. They soon arrive at a club where we meet several other characters, such as Jackson, who has climbed many of the world's tallest mountains. Then there's Anton, who is a former military member. Keith, who is a cunning thief. Leah, who is a professional tennis player. Nick, who is a triathlete. And Kat, who is a mute gymnast. And to think they all met at a Timothée Chalamet lookalike contest. Then there's Sarah, who has no athletic background and has an anxiety disorder. And lastly, there's Mike, a male escort. It turns out all these people are dates brought by Chris's wealthy friends, and his date is none other than Jackie, who works as a yoga instructor. After introducing themselves to each other, the group makes a toast and begins drinking and enjoying the party. After dancing for a while, Jackie begins to feel dizzy, while Chris tells her he's fascinated by her, and he hasn't felt this way in a long time. Right when Jackie loses consciousness. Sometime later, Jackie, along with all the people who were at the club as dates, wakes up and find themselves in a dark warehouse. All of them have cameras attached to their foreheads, and soon a lady speaks to them through a speaker and wishes them good morning. She tells them that they have all been brought here to play a game, and that they have 12 hours to complete it. Somewhere in the warehouse there is a key and a special door, so all they need to do is find it and open the door to leave. But the plot twist is that the door only opens when one person is left alive, and the rest are dead. Then why even bother hiding the key? Upon hearing this announcement, everyone begins to panic and tries to open the door of the warehouse, but they fail miserably. The lady also announces that their cameras allow them to see everything the participants are seeing, so they should not try to take them out. However, an agitated Mike refuses to comply and removes the camera from his head. Because of this, his face begins to burn with acid, and he starts screaming until he dies, which leaves everyone horrified. The speaker explains that each camera contains a vial of acid, and after 12 hours, the acid will dissolve those vials and they will all die. But if they win the game and escape, the cameras will be removed safely, so even if they don't want to, they have no option but to play the game. Next, the 12-hour countdown starts and the game officially begins, so the paranoid group begins looking for a way out. Elsewhere, we see Chris, who turns out to be the runner of this game, and he is with his elite friends, who are watching the participants through cameras and betting on which one will emerge as the winner. Back in the warehouse, the group is just walking around while wondering why this is happening to them. They eventually come across a box in the distance, and when they open it, there is a sword. Many decide that they shouldn't use it for their safety, but Anton tries to pick it up anyway. When Jackson tries to stop him, the two get into a fight, but Jackie manages to handle the situation and says they shouldn't behave like animals, but instead try to get out of here together. But Anton disagrees and knows that the only way to survive is to kill the others, so he grabs the sword and cuts Jackson's throat, causing him to die horrifically. Upon witnessing this, Chris and his friends are excited and begin drinking to celebrate. Meanwhile, in the warehouse, most of the group runs away from Anton in fear, while only Leah and Keith stay with him and decide to team up. Elsewhere, we see Jackie, who is teamed up with Sarah and Nick, and they decide to stick together. They then notice a glowing baseball, so they follow it and move ahead, during which Nick is suddenly struck by something. At the same time, Keith, Anton, and Leah arrive at a room where there is a large number of keys and also a door, so Keith proceeds to try the keys on the door one by one. Elsewhere, Jackie tends to Nick's injuries and he soon finds a baseball bat nearby, which he keeps for protection. At the same time, Keith tries various keys to open the door but fails, so Anton gets angry and realizes that the organizers are trying to make them stuck in one spot. They thus decide to move on, during which Keith finds a tool nearby, which he keeps with him so that when he is in trouble, he can defend himself. Elsewhere, Jackie and her group arrive at a strange place where the lights are changing in a weird pattern, while nails are being thrown from each side. After observing it for a while, Jackie understands the pattern and tells the group when to move, so they begin to walk at the correct timing. Nails shoot from both sides within seconds, but they carefully time their movement and manage to escape safely. From the other side, Chris is very happy seeing Jackie's cleverness, but his friend Victor is annoyed and says Jackie's just a liar and will die soon. He asks Chris to bet on Jackie if he's so confident, but Chris says he is the game runner and doesn't bet. Instead, he challenges Victor to take a special vapor drug test to see who can withstand it better. Victor is hesitant at first, but eventually agrees, and they both take the highly potent drug one by one. Chris manages to handle its effects, but it becomes too too much for Victor, and he dies. Back in the warehouse, we see Kat, who has been moving alone, and she soon comes across a locker. When she opens it, a small explosion is triggered, causing her to burn part of her face. However, the effects are not fatal, and she survives. Elsewhere, we see Jackie, Sarah, and Nick, who talk and realize that all of them have no family or close friends, and maybe that is why they were chosen. They then find a flashlight lying on the floor, and when they turn it on, they see a symbol of a key on the ground and decide to follow it. In the end, they eventually come across the real key hanging from a beam structure, which makes them very excited and hopeful. Next, Jackie goes up to remove the key and throws it over to Sarah, but at this moment, Anton arrives and tries to attack, but Nick saves her and begins fighting Anton, while Sarah grabs the key and climbs the beam. She ends up in a high spot and gets scared, during which Leah also arrives and demands the key and promises to spare her, but Jackie asks her not to listen to her, during which Sarah becomes so overwhelmed that she jumps from the top and is impaled by a rod. Jackie also loses her footing and is left hanging from a ledge before she falls and seemingly dies. While everyone else is distracted, Keith approaches Sarah's body and realizes she is still alive and begging for help. However, he finishes her with the same rod and quietly steals the key from her before moving forward. Later, he is approached by Anton and Leah, who demand the key from him, but Keith claims he doesn't have it and that the mute girl must have taken it. They don't believe him, and when they inspect his pocket, they find a tool and suspect he was planning to hurt them. The two decide to kill him, but Keith defends himself and manages to run away from there. At this moment, Jackie suddenly wakes up, revealing that she is still alive, and upon seeing this, Chris becomes very happy. Jackie is then approached by Kat, and both of them try to attack each other at first, but eventually decide to work together. Elsewhere, we see Keith, who tries to drink water from a pipe, but soon learns that it is gasoline. He then leaves the key there and hides, and moments later, Jackie and Kat show up. The girls are excited upon finding the key, but Keith arrives and says the liquid beside them is gasoline and prepares to burn them. But before he can do so, Nick shows up and kills Keith by stabbing him. Elsewhere, Anton and Leah manage to find the special door that will lead them to the exit, but since there is no key, they decide to wait there until the others arrive so they can attack them. Meanwhile, Jackie tends to Nick's injuries while Kat decides to go find the exit door. When they are alone, Jackie thanks Nick for saving her life, and the two end up sharing a kiss. Not long after, Kat returns to them and leads them near the exit door, where Anton and Leah are already waiting, so the three decide to come up with a plan. Nick says Anton is the main threat, so he needs to be distracted and finished first. Jackie thus teases Anton with the key and makes him come after her and Nick. While Anton is away, Kat goes to confront Leah, and the two women get into an intense fight. Later, we see Nick fighting with Anton, during which Nick gets very badly hurt and collapses on the floor. With the last bit of his strength, he sets Anton on fire using gasoline, eventually killing him. After this, Jackie approaches Nick, and the two head to the exit door, where Leah and Kat are fighting. Kat is gaining the upper hand, but Leah turns the tables by stabbing Kat in the head, which breaks her camera and causes her face to melt off. Now Leah grabs the key and tries to open the door, but it fails because there are still 3 survivors left. At this moment, Jackie also arrives with Nick, and the two women get into a fight, but in the end, Jackie manages to decapitate Leah and ends her life as well. However, the door still doesn't open, and Nick realizes that it is because there are still 2 of them left. With time running out, he makes a difficult decision and ends up slitting his own throat, sacrificing himself for Jackie. Men these days will do anything for a little affection. With this, the door finally opens, but Jackie is devastated by Nick's death and runs outside in panic. She comes out of the building crying and screaming, so Chris comes to hug her while saying that she is safe now, that she has won the game. Elsewhere in the elite people's gathering, a guy had bet against Jackie, meaning he lost and has to die. An even more bizarre thing is that Jackie is the one who has to decapitate him, so she ends up killing him. A few days later, she is still not able to get over her trauma, and she is approached by Chris. He tells her that since she won the game, she now gets a chance to become one of their elites and is free to do whatever she wants. However, Jackie does not want any of this and wants to leave, but the elites show her a news report about her roommate's death. Even worse, the cops are now looking for Jackie, as her fingerprints are all over the murder weapon. This means she has no way to go back to society and is forced to accept these people's offer. Meanwhile, Chris is approached by his boss, the Elder, who says that Jackie is too soft and kind, so she cannot be part of their group and must be killed. However, Chris vouches for her, saying she won fair and square, so after a lot of persistence, the Elder finally agrees to keep her, but says she is Chris's responsibility. In the following days, Chris teaches Jackie how to run the game, prepare the chemicals, and even attach the camera. She wants to help him run the game, but he says no, and asks her to bet instead, just like the others. Jackie agrees, and even takes the chance to seduce him, which leads to kissing. The scene then cuts to many days later, where once again the elite athletes bring their dates for their next deadly game, including Jackie. They all introduce themselves to each other and have fun and party just like before. Sometime later, the participants wake up in the warehouse, but in a shocking twist, they are now none other than Chris and his elite friends. They begin to panic while Jackie announces via camera that this is not a game, and there is no key or door, so they will die within 90 seconds. Then Jackie exits the building and meets the Elder outside, who seems to be aware of her actions, and appears rather impressed. The movie ends as Chris watches the timer tick down while smiling before he and his friends meet horrific deaths.